Welcome to the video, guys. Janet Street Porter has now been confirmed as the person with the most severe case of Brexit, Boris and British derangement syndrome. The sort coming out of this woman last night is incredible, which is shown in this article on the Daily Mail's website referring to Boris Johnson's new child, Brexit, and of course the coronavirus. You can see the venomous salt pouring out of her with every word she's written in relation to Boris Johnson. So let's check it out. It headlines, Janet Street Porter: if a female Prime Minister had just had her 6th or 7th child by a third father just months after getting divorced and in the middle of a massive crisis, would we all be putting the flags out? Which I think you would agree is a rather amazing statement, and just makes her look like a bit of a bitch. Middle-aged father of 5 or maybe 6 has yet another baby. So, will Boris Jr. be a welcome small dose of good news for housebound Brits? Most won't care, unlike you it seems. Boris will no doubt be celebrating in Downing Street tonight with a fine champagne. But what about the rest of us? All babies are sweet and charming, but this little boy couldn't have arrived at a more difficult time. No, not particularly. It doesn't really affect us or the running of the country. Let's be honest, he is the Prime Minister. He's got plenty of people around him who can help out, and enough money to pay for any help he needed. This is just ridiculous, and is simply you moaning because you don't like the Prime Minister. It's obvious to see just by the headline and the first few words you have written. Ordinary folk still can't get a coronavirus test. I'm sure most of them, like me, don't really care or want one. The government website crashed yet again today. It's easier to get front row tickets for Elton John or Lady Gaga's rescheduled tours than secure a test slot near your home, and most of us aren't allowed back to work yet because we're not considered essential. Actually, the government never necessarily said you had to stop. Companies could still operate if they followed certain guidelines, even if they weren't so-called essential businesses. Plenty of them have been operating the entire time, just in a more restricted way. Meanwhile, old people are dying alone and miserable in care homes. The healthy over 70s, of which I am one, are condemned to be incarcerated and jobless until we die of boredom. That is a bit over-dramatic, but you're a celebrity and you feel a sense of entitlement, not realising that people far worse off than you are in much more dire situations, you selfish cow. In order not to overburden the NHS, frontline staff are still dying because they can't get protective clothing, and Matt Hancock continues to bluster about his 100,000 testing target. So what we have here is another loony lefty using the coronavirus to attack the Prime Minister and the Tory government. What a surprise that is. These are extremely challenging times, so how will the birth of this son impact on the Prime Minister's huge workload? Probably not a lot. Like I said, he's got enough resources around him to take the load off if he would need to, which he probably will, considering the situation we're in. He is charged with finding a way out of the mess his ministers and band of scientists seem to have got us into, with not even the first baby steps towards an exit strategy. And he's already a man who has narrowly cheated death in recent weeks, and who seemed weaker and somewhat subdued during his only public appearance since leaving hospital. After 2 weeks recuperation at Chequers, Boris returned to Downing Street just this Monday, ordered by doctors to take things gently, only to have to skip his first Prime Minister's question in Parliament because of the birth. Robot Rob was back at the wheel, the man who couldn't wait for Boris to bounce back, take charge and make some decisions about ending lockdown before the country goes bankrupt. Oh, so now you're attacking Dominic Raab there, I see. Definitely no bias from this woman here, is there? She is certainly very salty about the entire Tory party, though. Now he has to worry about a new baby. Dare I suggest this situation is far from ideal. It might be to you, but I'm sure he's fine. You're just looking for any attack line you could possibly go for, and it just makes you look like a bit of a lowlife, to be honest. One question bothers me. Why, oh why, does Boris Johnson keep fathering children? At the age of 55, there are 4 grown-up offspring from his second marriage to Marina Wheeler, and a daughter, Stephanie, the product of an affair in 2009 conducted while he was the Mayor of London. Nice little smear there, talking about an affair in 2009 like the public are actually going to care. I don't care what him or his wife got up to. All that matters at the moment is that he's capable of running the country and will actually take us out of the EU. What he did in his past, I really couldn't care less about. Court documents hint at another child, the identity of which has remained secret. According to another super breeder, Jacob Rees-Mogg, Boris Johnson has joined the exclusive club whose members are fathers of 6. Oh, so now you're attacking Jacob Rees-Mogg because he's had a couple of kids with his missus. Janet Street Porter, you really do seem to be a bit of a salty bitch, it's gotta be said. Do you really hate the Prime Minister and the Tory party that much? Fathering 6 children by multiple mothers sends out a message, and it's not one I find particularly attractive or appealing. The wonderful thing about that is, no one gives 7 shades of shit what you find attractive or appealing. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day. The people of this country voted him in as the Prime Minister. You need to suck it up and learn to live with it. Along with making macho talk about war and fighting coronavirus, fathering children isn't difficult, but why keep at it in your mid-50s? Oh, so now fathering children is nice and easy, but I suppose being a mother is extremely difficult, isn't it? Why is it no shock to me that you hold those sorts of opinions? Boris is a Marmite character. You either find him insufferably pompous, privileged and shallow, or unbelievably charismatic and charming. No, they're not just the only ways people will find him. I'm sure people think a variety of things. Me, for instance, don't consider any of them to be the way I look at Boris Johnson. Fans say his energy and drive make up for a lack of grasp of detail and claim he is the only person who can unite the British people with all their cliques and classes. It certainly worked for former Labour voters in the north, seduced by his bullish posturing over Brexit. No, they wasn't seduced at all. They just wanted someone who was actually going to uphold the decision they had made 4 years before. Boris fans are prepared to overlook his adulterous nature, the fact he cheated on his second wife, the fact he conducted inappropriate relationships while Mayor of London, and I'm not even mentioning the pole dancing tech lady with a handy flat in the East End, which he used to visit for lunchtime briefing sessions. Oh, the salt from this one is real. The smears going out in just that little paragraph there are incredible, which I'm pretty sure most, if not all, are only accusations with no proof, but she puts them down there as if they are 100% proven as fact, and he's been convicted in a court of law, when we all know he's not. To be blunt, Boris may be fertile, but has he got the focus, not to mention the energy, to come up with a plan to save the UK before Dishy Rishi depletes the coffers with his well-meaning bailout schemes? Oh, so now you're sexually objectifying the Chancellor of the Exchequer. How dare you? If someone was to do that to a woman, you'd be screaming from the rooftops like a lunatic feminist that you probably are. The congratulations are cascaded in from politicians on all sides. Boris is only the 3rd PM in 150 years to have fathered a child while in office. Trump will be on Twitter any moment, adding his incoherent good wishes. Oh, so there is the Trump derangement syndrome also. Kim Jong-un will probably rise from the dead to send greetings from his royal train. We don't know if he's dead or not. Macron and Merkel will be wishing the couple well. Labour leader Sir Keir Starmer has been babbling about the incredible relief and joy the birth will bring, because he's not a bitter, twisted, horrible bitch like you are, obviously. All very predictable in the insincere scheming world of politics. No, it's just called being a decent human being. But now we get to the actual bit that we really want to look at. Let's talk about double standards. Can you imagine a female Prime Minister giving birth to her 6th child by 3 different men while dealing with the worst crisis in half a century? I'm pretty sure in this day and age, not one media organisation would say a single word, because they would be called sexist by all of you lefty losers. And obviously, the situation going on now, Boris did not know about at the time. China did a good job of covering it up for a little while at least, which you point out here. Obviously, Boris didn't know that COVID was going to happen, but we know he decided to have a child with his fiancée whilst in the middle of tortuous and still unresolved Brexit negotiations. What has that got to do with anything? The guy can be doing his job and still have a kid. Many people do this every day of the week. Can you listen to the salty, anti-Boris shit that this woman is coming out with? And the rest of it is just moaning about everybody else. I can't actually believe how salty this woman really is. Talk about hating on someone so much because of their political affiliations that you would come out and attack them for having a baby while holding a position of power. If that was a woman in this position, you would never hear her coming out and saying that, even if she disagreed with her politics. It's simply just Boris derangement syndrome, mixed in with a little bit of Brexit derangement syndrome, of course. I have to say, she has come across in this article as a bit of a snivelling shitweasel. I think you would agree. Now before I go, I've started doing live streams and uploading gaming content on my second channel. If you would like to come and join me for a live stream to chat in real time, have an interest in gaming related content on YouTube, or just want to follow me over there because you are a legend, the link will be down in the video description below and as a pinned comment. I hope to see you all there. Now as always, before I go, I want to thank our PayPal, Patreon, Subscribestar and YouTube members for supporting the channel, along with everyone who watches my videos. Remember to let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. Leave a like, subscribe with the notification bell and share this video as it helps the channel a lot. And I will see you all in the next one.